Welcome to the Thriving Creatively podcast, the podcast where we turn your creativity into cash. I am your host, Stephanie Rose Freeman, and I cannot wait to share with you the artists on every single episode, teaching you how they're thriving right now and how you can do it too. Our first guest is a very special friend of mine, Von, also known as Vondove. She's an artist, she's a coach, she's a ceremonial tattooist, and she has a really beautiful and intentional way of working with her clients and with her art and with literally everything she touches. And I so cannot wait to share her with you and get into this juicy conversation because really her and my relationship was one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast, because we had such, and we have always such incredible conversations and such juicy, deep conversations that every single time I'm like, I wish I was recording this because I feel like everyone needs to hear it. So I hope you love the podcast. It's very early days, but if you can thumbs up, give it a rating, whatever platform you're on, if you can put some input into the box, it's going to definitely help this podcast and it'll be very, very appreciated. So let's get into it.
Hey babe, how you going?
I'm so excited to talk to you. And I'm so excited that
Likewise.
This is the first episode of the Thriving Creatively podcast and that we get to do this together.
Amazing. I'm so honored to be your first guest.
So I'm just going to launch straight into it. What was the narrative for you when you were a child growing up and you were showing inklings of I'm going to be an artist, as I think all of us do? What was the narrative around that and around your ability to be that and do that well?
No one's ever asked me that question before. I feel like it's just something that I could do. Like I just naturally knew how to observe something with my eye and then draw it. I remember as a child, like all my primary school books and even earlier than that, I would just love drawing on everything. I was obsessed with drawing eyes, and I draw eyes and especially the female body over all of my school books, all along the edges of the margins of the school books, just like eyes. Fascinating.
Me too.
It's actually so cool because the eye is like the window to the soul, and now all my work is so soulful. I was just from a very young age just like, what is this? Yeah, I guess, yeah, it was just always something that I loved doing and I could do it. And you pursue things that you're good at. And I think I just always wanted to pursue it and was also very, very supported by my family. Yeah, I'm so grateful for my mother and father who just put so many art supplies in front of me. And really, yeah, I think they definitely imprinted that you can do anything that you want with your life. And if you really continue to do something consistently, it's going to happen. Yeah, so I had a very positive upbringing around it. And yeah, I'm so grateful for that.
I think that's so powerful. Like, pardon me. Not all artists have that. Like, I think a lot of artists have that story of, yeah, you can't do that. Go get a real job. But hearing that it was nurtured in you from such an early age is like, what a gift. It's like the ultimate gift.
Yeah, it is really. And I think about that a lot when I think about my journey becoming a mother and wanting to have children and what kind of values and beliefs I will give them or hope to give them. Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
It was always very fostered, like the ability, the physical skill of it. And same, I was always having art materials like gifted to me. Like there was always material around for me to make art with, which was amazing and such a gift. But it was more like oh, she'll just do this and then like she'll get a normal job, because my parents are like, you know, working class, like, you know, they've had jobs for other people their whole life and that's what they know. So I think that was what was expected of me. And when I went out and did it on my own, like I remember having this fight with my dad and I didn't talk to him for like, I don't know, it was like probably like 2 hours or something. And then he called me and he's like, I'm sorry.
At the time, a lifetime.
Totally. And at the time, then he called me. He's like, I'm sorry I said that. I do support you. I do support you in what you do. But it was a moment, right, of like, no, I am going to do this. This is going to be my life. Like, fuck off with your stupid beliefs. I'm doing this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're bringing me to a little nuance in my own story where I realized that my father probably did something similar for me, in that he always encouraged me to go for it fully, you know, throw yourself at it. But actually, yeah, the fear that parents must have towards their children, like, are they going to be financially supported? Are they going to, you know, life is expensive, especially these days. Are they going to have what they need to get through when I leave? And it's a very valid thing to imprint on your children. But yeah, how did that go with your dad?
I mean, in the end, fine. I mean, my parents just know that I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want anyway. And to what you were saying, like, I think it's such a, it comes from love, right? It comes from care. It comes from, I hope my child is going to do okay. And my version of doing okay is living this life. And because I grew up, this is like all of our parents, because I grew up in this world where not all those the opportunities that we have now and the internet and like all of the ways that we can make money, they didn't have that. So they're like, the limited thinking then gets imprinted onto us from a place of care. But like, ultimately, actually, what could have been helpful is what I'm actually trying to do with this podcast, which is being the voice of like, no, you can do this. Like, there are there are millions, or there are as many ways as there are people to do the thing that you want to do.
Yeah, I really love the message you have to share, Steph. And it's like, I think the very essence of it is you're talking to creatives, and the beauty about the actual journey of successfully building a creative business is that you're a creative. You have to use your creativity to figure it out. Yes, you can follow a to-do list, how to get there, but realistically, there's going to be things that are coming up where you have to figure out what your way is. And yeah, I find it actually so much more entertaining, so much more fun to
100%.
just come at it like it's a little bit more playful.
100%.
I don't have to go to university. You have a lot to say about that. I don't have to go to university and study this thing, and then I'll be qualified to know that, you know, I've got this stamp of approval to do it. It's like, feel, what are your gifts? What makes you come alive? You know, how can you add something different? How can you do something different? Oh, so much more of a creative, expansive journey to go on. So yeah, I've actually really loved going my own way. And I think all of the main decisions that I've made in the building of my business has actually been like, how can I suit my own needs? How can I do this, that? It really just, makes me love what I do. I don't want to do that part, so I'm not going to do that part. I'm going to do it this way. I want to be able to travel while I go to work. I want to be able to meet people face to face. I want to work online, whatever it is. Just being creative and like, how can I use my gifts? How can I put it in this little package that looks good on the outside, feels good on the inside, and really like, making it suit you.
100%. Building a life that's not the default like cookie cutter. Because how could artists, you know, artists as an archetype is such a like, I'm going to do this my own way, actually. So I think, maybe not for all artists, but for many, 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 the majority of artists, I think that is our path. And also, when you were talking about creativity just now, creativity as like in the mainstream and in like, I guess, entrepreneur circles that aren't just artists, like creativity in that world is so, so valued. And the like creative thinking and creative, like the creative ways of problem solving, creative ways of doing business. And as artists, we're like, that's ingrained into us and ingrained into our business anyways.
It's our very essence. So use it to problem solve, use it to create the framework, and then actually participate within the artist archetype of creating in your business as well.
Exactly. I'd love to hear for you, what is a recent, or maybe not even recent, a business pickle that you've got yourself into, because we all do, and it's part of the journey, that you've had to use creativity and creative thinking to get yourself out of?
I think the first one that comes to mind is during the pandemic. I couldn't have my tattoo studio open. And also, I feel like when I stop creating, the channel just gets a little bit blocked, and I just needed to keep creating. Some people sort of just sat back and, like, got their payments or whatever and just enjoyed this restful period. But I had this burning desire to keep creating and doing something with my time. So a lot of my ideas actually come in this sort of, they just drop in and like, oh, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And yeah, the idea of doing tattoo tickets for people who would receive a design by me from anywhere in the world where there's a tattoo studio that's open is possible. It actually, they come to me so clearly. I literally drop in the, how I'm going to present it, how I'm going to share about it, the price, all of that stuff sort of just like landed for me super strong. And it was one of the best business moves that I've made since starting my business. Yeah. Problem solving. I don't have to go anywhere. I can sell it online. People can still receive my art. Yeah.
And it replicates you as well. It replicates your, like, you as an artist only have a finite amount of time to do tattoos in, and energy to do tattoos, because they take a lot of energy, right? To do tattoos in. And replicating yourself by being like, yeah, you can just buy the tattoo tickets, and they always sell out, right? You're killing it with tattoo tickets.
Thank you, Steph. Yeah, it was an incredible option for me, because realistically, I had a lot of integrity about, I want to create this marking from the beginning conception all the way to its completion. I had grandiose ideas about traveling all over the world and doing a tattoo tour and, visiting all the major cities. And I would love to do that one day. It's true. But yeah, I'm also like not going to make those people wait over in Germany or over in Paris or in the US. And, if you want one of my markings, who am I to hold back from you being able to embody like a creation that really you deeply love? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it makes all sorts of sense. And I still do them today. I love them.
I saw serves the wider community.
Yeah.
I saw one recently that I liked a lot. But I was like, on the feet.
The moon one?
Oh, on
Rock
the feet.
Moon? Oh
no, too much.
To me.
These hurt enough. I'm like, feet might be my limit.
I think about your markings a lot, actually, babe, because you came to me. Have you shared publicly what your markings are about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your teacher. And I saw, you came to me for an intentional tattoo ceremony to mark your hands. Our hands are our givers, or what we literally create into the world with. And to mark the hands is one of the most potent places on the body, I believe. And your intention was all about you stepping into your teacher. And after that ceremony, you boomed in that department. I've seen you completely rise, both feet on the ground, but really, channeling all the information that's needed to teach people how to create successful businesses. And your way of teaching is just completely just you. It's just you. It's just naturally you. You didn't try and put on a different hat in a way. You just, you stepped into it with so much grace. And it's like, you obviously came for that ceremony when you were at the edge of ready and then stepped off the edge. It's been incredible to witness you since then.
100%. Thank you. It's so special. And honestly, these are my favorite tattoos. Out of all my tattoos, I've got maybe like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tattoos. These are my favorite. I count this as one. I mean, there's many things going on here, but I count this as one. And these are my favorite, and I get to see them every day, and they mean a lot. And the meaning is partially because of, you did them, and we shared that experience of the tattoo ritual, which was such an altered state for me, and such a the pain was so intense that I was literally like, you were on the ground in front of me, like sitting, kneeling, and I had my hands on my knees, and you were tattooing my fingers, and I was wailing at the sky because it hurt so much. My neighbors already thought I was fucking crazy, but they no doubt thought I was even more insane, or like I was having a child or something. But the altered state that came after that as well, like I had to lay down for a while. It was like the new reality was sinking in. And then, within the next few months, I'd had a 5-figure month, which was the biggest month that I'd ever had in my business. And I was like, oh shit, this shit's real. Like there's magic in these. And what I'd love to hear from you, because you know so much about tattoo as a ritual and as a historical practice and as an initiatory tool, and that's what people come to you for. I'd love to hear about your relationship to it from that angle as well.
I can't have another way of approaching it. I've dabbled into non-ceremonial tattoo, and it actually just feels so wrong to me. There's so many people, there's so many ways that people are approaching tattoo in the world today, and that's great, like everything. But for me, I think I'm a very well thought out person. I like to plan and see, the depth of detail in things. And of course, I'm obviously perceiving that to wear a marking, yeah, you might be excited and really alive to an idea at the time of getting it. But like you're also going to be wearing that when you're birthing your babies. You're also going to be wearing that when you're holding your grandchildren, or, later in your life. So these markings have to have a real integrity about them. And yeah, there's nuance and depth to that as well. But realistically, anything that you are going to carry with you for the rest of your life should have a very important space in which you receive that, to create a really well-held environment, so that you're recognizing the different parts of yourself that are being marked. You're not just marking your body, you're also marking a pivotal point in your journey. You're also deciding upon a way that you're going to go forward in your life and what you're going to carry with you. So yeah, of course that needs to, for me, to be seen as something that's very sacred. Yeah, the space that I hold is so safe. I like to open my sacred space as one of safety first and foremost, because, I'm not projecting anything onto you. I want you to come and feel like, hey, I can be completely who I am in this space, and feel into my joy, feel into my depth, feel into my grief. You can hold all of these things in your heart or in your being at a time of receiving a marking, and know that, yeah, that's all welcome. If someone is marking something that is so deeply emotional for them, you have to feel safe to feel that when you're receiving it. To walk into a tattoo parlor and your tattooist doesn't really know the depth to why you're receiving a marking feels just out of alignment. So to not only be able to feel safe and comfortable in a space, but to be able to have someone witness you in why you're receiving a marking, to have someone hear your story, to feel totally safe to place something on an altar that symbolizes that journey. To cry is so sacred. And I'm so lucky that I get to witness people in this space. And mine, it's an intentional marking, and people share their intentions in that space. But I also, as a collaborator in the process, share my intention, being that I am here in service. I am here devotionally in service to you, holding this space for you, delivering this marking how you wish to receive it. If you need to play that album that your dad used to play when you were younger, we're going to play it. You know, if you need to play something on the altar that, you know, I'm here for it, because that is the depth and meaning that we are able to weave into our experiences. And I think, yeah, that's really important.
And I think a lot of people don't get that, you know, like tattoos are so significant for so many people. Like, you know, of course, people go out and get tattoos just because they look cool, but a lot of people get tattoos because somebody has died, to mark a new milestone, they've had a child, or I'm interested in a minute to hear about different milestones. But like you say, they might go into a tattoo parlor and they so deeply want that experience of having their story heard, and you know, having space held for them to intentionally mark that experience, and are not getting that experience because it's not really offered.
It surprises me that it's not more sought after
Totally.
or available.
Totally. I
Yeah,
think it's sought
it's
after. I don't think it's available.
I'm very busy.
Yeah, you are busy. You are booked and busy. And that's a testament to the space that you hold. I'd love to hear what are the markers or the significant events that you often see people coming to you for?
Mm. Well, when I'm talking with people about, you know, coming in for a ceremony, it's that tattoos can be celebratory. We can be celebrating a part of ourselves. I love that I'm XYZ. That's going on my shoulder. And there's always significance as well to the placement where we're putting these things. But also for initiation, you know, are you stepping into a chapter of your life that you're going to find a whole new version of yourself? Are you able to, you know, honor this new journey? And at the same time, are you also releasing and let die a part of yourself that cannot, you know, you cannot go forward in that way anymore? So a lot of the ceremonies are somewhat like grief filled, but also full of so much new life and fertilization of new ideas. Some are just so beautiful in that it's just someone declaring a declaration. That's another version. Declaration of self. I declare that I will now back myself. I will choose myself. I choose to love myself. And that might, you know, ripple out into your life as just having better boundaries, saying no or saying yes to the things that are going to keep you alive, you know, fill you with life. Yeah, I have had more people coming to me for grief. And I think part of my passage through losing my mother a couple of years ago really helped me to be able to hold that space for people, and making sure that we're marking from a place that isn't actually creating a negative energy portal in the body. You know, grief can be seen as an emotion of sorrow and sadness, but there's also a lot of beauty. And to recognize why we want to hold that on our body, in our body, making sure that the energy behind our tattoos is really healthy and sustainable for our body, and our energy field is part of the work too. So yeah, celebration, initiation, declaration. Yeah, definitely rites of passage, people coming through. Rites of passage are vast in, there's so many different types, but obviously stepping into different chapters of maidenhood, motherhood, crone, also the Marga in there now, which is a more recent concept in the woman's journey. I do tattoo mostly women, and I'm so open to receiving more beautiful men and all genders into this space. But yeah, I have worked really closely with women over the years and see that, there's definitely different chapters that have different lessons and teachings for us. So celebrating all of that is really cool.
It's such a special job. Like, you get to do that for work. You get to hold space for people's like really deep transformative experiences. And they don't leave your space. And I know this from experience because I've got 2 different tattoos from you. They don't leave your space the same person as they walked in, physically, emotionally, on all levels. There's a transformation that happens due to the space that you hold. I think it's so beautiful.
Thanks, Steph. Yeah. Yeah. I also, part of the journey with me is that integration. And that's like anything, medicine journey, whatnot, to have space and honor your integration is where you actually see the tattoo medicine working on you. You know, are you embodying the intention of your marking? You know, sometimes I check in with people and it just is, I'm awestruck at the types of transformations that people see coming through. You're initiating ourselves. You know, we're actually in a point in our a point in time where we, I believe, lack real leaders and medicine women and men who are guiding us through rites of passage. We lack ritual and ceremony. So, you know, for people of the West, especially people who are disconnected from Indigenous lineage, where ritual is so rich, there's grief there for us. And having ceremony, self-ceremony, is a birthright. So tattoo is one way that we can really, you know, actually guide ourselves through or initiate ourselves into new chapters of ourselves, into new chapters of our life journey. Yeah.
Because really, when you think about the greater culture in the West, the rituals that we all take part in are birth, death, marriage, birthdays. That's about it. The socially accepted, like greater, you know, community. And I think, you know, obviously in smaller pockets of community, there are a lot of rituals taking place. But yeah, we really are starved of it. You're about to say something.
I'll just say, like, yeah, also not everyone gets married, but these are ones that we're able to access, yes, that have still somewhat of a ceremony attached to it. Same with birthdays. But yeah, even the birth process for people these days is becoming more and more stripped of ceremony and ritual. So yeah, it's so important that we continually pull ourselves back to ritual, because that's where change is so tangible. We're actually honoring our change and not just like swimming around in like all these different versions of ourselves that have not yet been cleared, released, surrendered, and then recognized, celebrated.
If you were speaking to somebody who was listening who has never done any kind of self-ritual before and doesn't really know where to start, what would you tell them to do?
For me, I feel it's safe it's right to create just a really safe space. Some sort of altar, which can be very simple. An altar could just be a piece of wood, or you sitting out in a garden somewhere with a space in front of you where you feel a solitude, a space to feel safe, to drop into your emotions, to close down your eyes, to be able to be in your body, in your heart, to acknowledge that you are upon sacred land and to thank that land. It's really important that we're creating and deepening a connection with our earth all the time if we want to sustain her and sustain us. Yeah, some really basic things is to acknowledge the spirits of the land, to acknowledge your ancestors, if you wish, you know, and there's a lot of spiritual housekeeping around this, which, you know, I don't need to share it all here, but just making sure that you're only calling things into that space if you're aware of what you're calling in. Using the word benevolence, benevolent ancestors to be here bearing witness to me. Yeah, it creates a space around you where you can feel held. And whether you are, you know, releasing something or you're simply sitting with, an important passage in your life to create ceremony, I think, you need to have a space that feels holy, that's intentional. And all sorts of things can emerge in that space when we feel safe. So, there's a little. Also, opening and closing a space is important,
Good one.
Yeah.
Good one. That's something that I think you probably have a lot of experience in, like bringing people into this space that you're sitting in right now on the weekly, multiple times to tattoo them, opening and closing those portals and allowing whatever came with them to leave with them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Spiritual hygiene. It's a thing.
Yeah. Speaking of, you go.
Just using our words, because our words are spells, and we can clarify and move a lot of things with our words, and also plant allies. Obviously white sage has been at the forefront of as a cleansing spirit, but also here in Australia, we have so many incredible Indigenous plant allies that are amazing for clearing and cleansing. So been working with plants as well to help move energy, clear energy.
You said something before that I thought was really interesting that kind of relates to this, which was something about not putting sketchy intentions. This is not the words you used to say it, but that's how I heard it. Not putting sketchy intentions into the tattoo. I'm really, really curious to hear you speak more on that, because I think it's super interesting.
I don't remember what I said, to be honest, but do you mean like being really clear about what you're putting into?
It was something about portals. It was like not creating portals in the body, negative portals. Yeah.
Like these, a tattoo that you receive, you are embedding that experience into the marking. Like if you go to a tattoo parlor and you have a negative experience, that will always be carried in your marking. So that's why I do my utmost best to hold a space that is going to be, really well held. If you're these tattoos I was talking about before is the grief. If you're holding on to a memory of someone and you love them and you miss them and you're so deeply in grief that you want to mark that on your body, like that's beautiful. It's a real testament to how strong your love is towards that person. But you don't want to hold like a sense of sorrow and sadness, like a heaviness in your body around that. You want to bring yourself to that ceremony with all of the things that you love, all of the gifts that that person or that whatever it is gave you, so that you can embody that with pride. And the energy behind that is different. See, there's such a difference in that. Also with the work that I do, often people come to me, and every so often I actually have to tell someone that I can't tattoo them, that I don't feel like it's in alignment, or I don't think that they're ready. And that's not a nice thing to have to do. But realistically, a lot of people who come and share with me about their old tattoos that they got when they were a lot younger, it's like they thought that they were getting it because they love sparrows or that they love sunflowers. And realistically, a stronger intention beneath that might have been that they just wanted to fit in, that they just wanted to be cool. And, that was the energy behind it. And then later on, when they realized that they didn't actually have to do that to fit in with their friends, the tattoo loses its meaning or its potency. But if we're choosing intentions that are wise and that are going to serve us for the rest of our life, like always have courage. Have courage. Always remember to choose yourself first. Something that will serve you even when you're in your crone years, I think is important. And I'm always checking with people about that before they mark themselves.
It's so powerful. And you know what? I really relate to what you just said, because I have one of those tattoos that I got just because I thought it was cool and because I wanted to be cool and because people were getting tattoos and it was a thing. And I hate it. I hate it. Like, I want to get it removed because it has no meaning to me. In fact, it has the opposite meaning. It's like it's like a lesson. It's like a lesson tattoo of like, don't seek belonging through a fucking mark. Like, it's not the intention to go in with. So I think a lot of people can relate to it.
You.
Has to be for you, exactly, not for others. And like, especially, this is probably not the same for everyone, but for me, mine's on my back, right? That's not for me at all. I can't even fucking see it. That's for other people. Yeah. So I have personal experience with that.
Strong medicine for you there, Steffi. Yeah.
Strong medicine, 100%. And like, I reckon a lot of people watching, listening, whatever, will be really able to relate to that. And what can people do in that situation? Because I think a lot of people have tattoos like that.
Yeah, I work with a lot of people who are like, I want to heal my relationship to my old markings. And yeah, creating a relationship with them where we go back to the version of themselves that received it and have a really beautiful conversation with that person or that version of you. Yeah. And whatever translates in that conversation, bring that into a tattoo ceremony. You know, I'm not going to go in and like completely alter or cover your tattoos. I'm not doing that work at the moment, but even just like planting small little points around it that sort of given you energy of acceptance, because yeah, you can go and remove them. That's an option that's available to you, but really to learn that, yeah, our older self, our wiser, older, more lived version of ourselves is always going to look back and be like, I wish that I could have given you these things. So yeah, to marry it all together into like, I wholeheartedly accept all of the ways that I have been in the past, and I'm able to forgive and to love you, can actually shift the energy of tattoos for people.
Epic. I'm so glad to have been able to ask you that, because now I'm like, oh, maybe we can do something on my back at some point, which I never thought was an option. You know, I was like, oh, removed or live with it. But totally, there's an option to alter the energy. Yeah. I want to shift gears because we've been talking about tattoos, but you're also a very, very skilled and talented visual artist and also a coach. But I really want to speak about your art, because your art, I mean, I have a piece of your art right here, and your art is the way that I found you. I think it was before, no, we found each other at Rainbow 7, but your art was what I was doing, what you were doing. Your art was what you were doing when words, your art was what you were doing. I'm leaving it in, I don't care. Your art was what you were doing when I met you, and you weren't doing tattoos yet, you were doing paintings.
No,
and
not
you still
yet.
do paintings.
We should tell people how we met, babe. It's super cute. I love that story. I've told it a few times recently, knowing I was coming on here, but like, me and Steph, do you want to tell it?
You go.
Me and Steph were both performing at Rainbow Surfing Festival, and I don't know about you, but like, I was, you know, a novice artist at the time, and I remember saying to myself, oh, one day I'm going to perform at Rainbow Serpent Festival, and you know, if I can do that, my goal is to do that in the next 10 years. That's crazy. And then the next year, which was the year I met you, I applied and I got it, and I literally ran around my house with my arms in the air like so cute. You know, skip forward a couple of weeks or months or whatever, when we were actually there, and I was, you know, feeling so out of my comfort zone. All these big shot artists from America and Canada and were being flown in for it, and yeah, they had these big, you know, set up canvases with special lighting for them so people could see them at all hours of the day. And like, I was looking around like, oh, and where do I go? And I just looked down beautiful gallery wall fence, and there's these budding artists all lined up with their canvas literally balancing against a piece of the fence. And And yeah, there was a space next to you. And I was like, hey, is anyone sitting here? And you had this bountiful, you're still exactly the same, actually. Like, yeah, the galah.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on in. Yeah, and that was the beginning of our friendship. Two budding artists sitting at a festival trying to get our work out there and follow what it is that we love. And yeah, since then we've just like seen our businesses grow somewhat in different directions, but still with this beautiful essence of wanting to reach people, wanting to serve people, and doing that in different ways. So I just love the beautiful symbiosis between us, because you've gone and taught people the knowledge that we've both been learning over the years, and I'm still just in the creation. I'm in the archetype of the artist and business owner. And sometimes I see you upload things on your Insta or, you know, different platforms saying like, do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, tick, tick, tick. Yeah, I've done that.
Hey.
Which is so epic. And yeah, it's like, it's such a huge job being a visual artist. And I don't say that to, you know, put anyone, what's the word? What I'm thinking of?
Put them off.
To discourage anyone from doing it, because it's the best career I could have imagined. But yeah, there's a lot involved. You know, you're not just being in the archetype of the artist, you're also an accountant, you're also, you know, a manager, you're also a content creator and a marketer. And yeah, it's like scary how little percentage of the time I actually spend painting.
100%.
And that's a reality I'm sad to acknowledge. But yeah, I also love wearing all the hats, and I try to just wear the hats that I enjoy and outsource the ones that I don't, which is another great thing that we could talk on. But yeah, I think my paintings is my soul work. That's when I look back on what I created in my life, I want to see a beautiful plethora of different meaningful messages for humanity. So yeah, one-on-one with my clients in tattoo is like so tangible, because I see the transformation in people. But knowing that I'm able to, you know, and this is where that the idea of having a gift, I don't understand why some people are just incredibly gifted in things like, you know, musicians and whatnot, but I have always been able to depict the human form quite easily. And that's the baseline, to be able to, like, you know, articulate correctly the way that a human form looks. But then it's not really about that. It's actually about the meaning and the emotion and the story that you tell. So to me, like, I think over the years I've definitely curated a process that works for me. And it starts long before any paint hits the canvas. It's like you have to go through life initiations to receive the downloads for your next painting. And there's a lot that happens before the paint starts moving around the canvas.
Hey, hope you're loving the podcast so far. Quick interruption because I wanted to share something with you. Are you an artist or a creative who's always wanted to learn how to make a living off the thing that you love? How to market it, how to sell it, how to cultivate a healthy mindset behind it, and ultimately how to make money from the thing that is your gift? I wanted that as well, and I really set my mind to studying exactly how to do that. And I learned how to do that. And I've distilled all the knowledge that I got from all of my learnings into a book. It's called Thriving Artist. It's $4.99, and it's a book that's designed to give you the first steps to make that dream a reality. So you'll see it down below. Just click the link and you'll be led to the page. It's $4.99, so why wouldn't you? You can also get a refund if you hate it, so there's really no risk. Click the link below and check out Thriving Artist today. All right, back to the show. I want to riff on what you were just saying, actually, because I think for me, like so many, like the paintings, they come in different ways. And the ideas, and I agree, they're in the ether before they're in the physical. And they're in my mind, and there's like stuff going on before they're actually, you know, in the real. And they have all come to me in different ways. Like there's for me, there's not like one set, like, oh, I get an idea and then I do this and then this happens. And that it's like they all have their own frequency and their own journey and their own frequency and way that they want to be and speed that they want to come in, and they're all different for me. So I'm really curious about how does a painting come about for you? When does that start? How do you get the first little like woohoo new idea? How does that happen for you? Hello.
Much like when I was saying before about these downloads that come with like business ideas, it's the same with paintings. It's like sometimes it's super crystal clear and I don't get any choice in it. It's just, and obviously I'm charged by the idea, otherwise I wouldn't hold it.
Totally.
But yeah, I do believe that these are somewhat like dropping in for us. And you always reference Elizabeth Gilbert, Big Magic. Amazing book. Creatives need to read this book. That, you know, they're choosing to come to us, and if we don't pick them up and fully manifest them into reality, they'll probably go and choose someone else. And if you can create, and this is what I was talking about, curating a process where you are dedicated to seeing something come through, you are communicating with spirit that you are a conduit for creation. So when something drops in strong for me, and I am someone who sees something all the way through when I'm really committed to it, I make sure that happens. So yeah, I used to do like preparation drawings and things beforehand. I don't really need to do them anymore. But yeah, if I have an idea, I will basically stay with it until it's created. And I can only do one painting at a time. Which some artists are just like, what? You know, I've got like 10 paintings going right now. It's just not me. It's not how it works for me. And it feels like my energy is really clean. And, you know, this starts, this is completed, we celebrate, we call in the next. Yeah, that's how it happens for me. And yeah, definitely still use like reference images when I'm creating paintings, whether I take them myself or I, you know, merge together multiple different reference photos that I found. And yeah, I don't know, there's so much about the actual physical painting process that I could go into, but realistically, I have the vision completely clear in front of me. I sketch it out on the canvas. I'm now working on wood, which is just so amazing and a beautiful way of collaborating. I feel like part of the dance of painting on wood is that you don't actually have to do half the work, because your job is to actually celebrate the wood grain. There's parts that I want to leave bare. You know, the brain has this way of just like making up data if there's missing data there. So if you leave a place that's negative and it's suggestive that there's actually paint there, and I really love that with wood. Yeah, but then I sketch it out and I have my color plan. I have the literally vision in my head. And this is something that I've been able to do since I was young, is like, if I have an image in my head, I can basically draw it. Which is just, I don't know, some brains don't work that way, but mine does. So they often come out looking relatively about 70 to 100% of the time looking how I want them to.
It's so satisfying.
So, yeah, that's cool.
It's so satisfying, like being able to pull something out of thin air, out of the ether, out of your brain, out of the I don't know what, into physical reality, and have it look like it does in your head. And I think that's the gift of many artists that want to paint in that way, because, you know, there's 100 different ways to do art, but I think that's such a gift, and it's such a dopamine hit for me. I just love it. I just like creating something out of nothing. And there's a piece actually that you were talking about, saying I'm the kind of person that finishes things. And I think that spirit, universe, God, whatever it is you want to call it, the creative idea generator thing listens to that. And if you make yourself known as somebody who finishes things, you get more ideas. Always. There is a never-ending stream of ideas available to you if you would only finish the things, either finish or abandon the things that you're currently working on.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And that to be a conduit to that is like, I have ideas stacked up sometimes. And I know that if I have too many energy leaks going out, oh, that's 1% done. That's 80% done. I don't complete anything. So that is why I have chosen to do one at a time, because then I know, like, yes, I am forging a relationship with the creator that is choosing me time and time again to create visions. And yeah, it's so satisfying to see them be completed. And I get it, like sometimes you have to abandon.
Totally.
Sometimes you're
It's
like,
part of it.
that's actually lost. That did leave me.
Yeah.
A beautiful collaboration that I did with Helena Artrelaneza from the Netherlands. She's a dear friend and artist, very talented artist. And she has multiple paintings going at the same time. She's incredibly gifted, this woman. Miss her and love her dearly. But I was visiting her in the Netherlands, and she was like showing me through her little shed that had all these sort of somewhat sketched out ideas on canvas. And she pulled one out that was a painting, which was something I had been sitting on, the concept of unity and diversity and all looking into an earth in the center. And she'd literally half created this vision for me. And I saw her, I saw it, and I had full body chills. And I looked at her like, how could you not complete this? This is it. And she's like, oh, that, yeah, like I've lost the vision for it. I'm not inspired by it anymore. And I had like, such tingly energy over my body, like, but okay. She's like, would you like to take it? You can have it. You can complete it. So we took it on as a collaboration, and I really reignited the inspiration for her, because I took it all around the world with me. She'd already created it over through a couple of different countries that she'd traveled through with it. And it was this piece of unity and diversity of the Earth's people looking down at something that we all share. And
it's not the one behind
painting.
you, is it?
No, that's a different collaboration. But it's a spiral of faces looking into the earth in the middle. That one's also got an earth in the middle, but
it's at the top of your stairs.
Correct. It's called One. Yes, One. One home, one planet.
It's such a powerful painting. I'm going to put it up on the screen so people can see it, but it's such a powerful painting. I had no idea. that was the story of that painting.
Yeah. And when I read Big Magic, I was like, yep, that happened to me and Helena for sure. Yeah.
100%. There was somebody in my DMs the other day telling me that it was bullshit. And I was like, nah, it's not bullshit. It has happened to me multiple times that I've half done a painting and then been like, nah, or I've just had an idea for a painting and been like, nah, not me. And then someone else does it. That's fine. Like that's what happens. And I think that happens with all kinds of things. Like it's not just art. Creativity, like we were kind of talking about before, creativity is in business, creativity is in music, creativity is in everywhere. Like I'm sure that there have been people who have had a grand business idea and then someone on the other side of the world created their business because that idea was like, obviously this dickhead's not going to make it. So I'm going to go over here to someone who's proved to me that, or has a proven track record of finishing things and is actually got the drive to do the thing.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it a kick up the bum when you see someone else doing something that you want to do? Actually,
totally. Yeah. It totally is.
I would actually, you're one of those people for me, Steph. It's like, she did the thing. She did it. You really follow through. So, yeah.
So do you.
Hats off to you. Thanks babe.
No.
I want to hear about your process. And I know it's a podcast and you're interviewing people, but really, what happened? What's happening in your world with this new style of art, and how is your new process? Is the process different for how you create these abstract pieces?
It very much is. And I honestly, right now, I think I'm just going through the antidote of being a hyper-realistic painter, which is what my previous body of work was. And it was so hard. Like, it's so hard on the body. And it's so goddamn boring. Hyper-realistic painting is fucking boring. Oh my God. It looks cool. It's impressive. It's like, I'm a good artist. Like, you know, I've got skills. But actually sitting there and doing it sucks. So actually, I think I'm like, right now I'm not even in my next body of work yet. Like I'm just in the like antidote phase of getting to know my paints again, after having a big break, after having an exhibition, of knowing different styles, having a play around with this, having a play around over here, play around over there. I'm really in it just for me right now. Like, and I'm not really like creating for the gram, for others, for walls, for like, I'm sure some of these works are going to end up on people's walls, fine. But yeah, I have a real sense that I'm not in my next body of work yet, and that it may not come for a while. And I've actually made peace with that because, you know, I'm a course creator as well. I'm a teacher as well. And that's a really big part of my business. And it's a really lucrative part of my business. So it makes sense to follow the thread of what's really lucrative. And so right now I'm just focused on that. And so those creative ideas that come through, the same way as they come for paintings, that they come for courses. It's like the next thing, it's like, ooh, I could create a course about that. And the next course comes through, pours through me, pours through me, pours through me. And I've also
It's
come to
like your
terms
form of
with
creation.
totally.
It's like your form of creation. It's where you're choosing to deliver your message onto the world is through courses and through teaching people.
Totally.
So,
And through content.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it's really beautiful though, babe, that you can continue to create and just explore almost with this divine innocence of the child archetype of just playing with things, learning new things, and
totally.
yeah,
It's
with
fun.
this, yeah, you look like you're having fun. Yeah, and
it really
you had
is.
to move far away from like the hyper realism of your last body of work and just go the complete opposite, just to be like, do you know what, I'm actually just like pushing that out of my field while I learn new techniques, new ways of painting, and yeah.
And I'll come back around to it. You know, I reckon I'll meet in the middle, and there'll be some kind of like halfway between that becomes my next body of work. But like right now, I'm just on the pendulum swing, and I'm like all the way over here, and I'm like, fuck realism. I don't care. I don't want to do that. It sucks. It makes my hand hurt. It's boring. I already know what it's going to look like before I do it. There's no mystery. It's not fun. It takes forever. All of that, and then I'll swing back, and I'm sure I'll meet somewhere in the middle. And what I was going to say before is I've come full circle with the idea that, like, you know, you have to be constantly making art in order to be an artist. And, you know, you have to be constantly putting out your next body of work, constantly making art. I'm like, I'm an artist for life. I'm going to be doing this shit until I can no longer pick up a paintbrush, which I hope is the day that I die. Like, I hope I am painting. I've never thought this before, but I'm thinking it right now. I hope I am painting on the day that I die. So I've got time. You know, like I have time. There's like, there's no rush.
The rest is just projections and expectations and the stories that you've told about yourself.
Totally. It's like, I'm always going to be able to do that. So there's no rush to create the next body of work. I mean, no rush to do another exhibition. That was such an intense, massive experience, and I'm sure I'll talk about at some point on a YouTube video or a podcast or something. But I mean, no rush to do that again soon. And I'm like, I've kind of hooked into the slow unfolding of my practice and of my art and of myself as an artist, alongside myself as a business person and as a creative entrepreneur and as a course creator and as a teacher. Like, I think they're parallel tracks, and I used to think that I had to be like, you know, all in on the art all at the time, but actually you don't have to. You can thread in and out, and I'm sure there's going to be times in my life where I'm full, all I'm thinking about is art. But right now, all I'm thinking about is online courses and this podcast and a YouTube channel, and how can I reach more people, and how can I help people with their own businesses and with creating courses and with creating content, and how can I platform artists, and how can I talk to more people. And that's where my mind is at. and the art's going to come back, you know, it always
Yeah.
does. So there's no
Yeah.
rush.
Yeah. I'd love to speak to the fact that this feels like yet another representation of we are cyclical beings. You know, it feels a
Totally.
hella masculine to be like, you need to perform all the time, go, 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 create, 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 content, 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 content. It's like
Totally.
you need to also withdraw within and figure out like, where is it coming from? Like, is my pool of inspiration, is the soil of my being really being tended to and fertilized so that I'm inspired? And even like, am I looking after my body? Do I have enough energy? Am I prepared to really express, to really put things out? You know, like really creating that beautiful relationship with the internal landscape. You will keep coming back around to it, but if you keep tending to that internal landscape, and that's what the beautiful balance is I think as a healthy creating artist, to make sure that you're tending to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think becoming an art factory, which is what I've done before, I think becoming an art factory is like the least thing that I want to do. Like becoming the, like you were speaking to, like the masculine, like go, 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 consistently create paintings, 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 paintings. That to me is the antithesis of creativity. You know, that feels forced, that feels like not enjoyable. And like I've been in that, you know, that was my last body of work, was like they must be realistic, it must be impressive, like it has to be hyper real and it takes forever and all of that. And actually, like,
Yeah.
oh, it's such an enjoyable thing to do. So I'm just going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I think there's a special type of handling of something that is so precious to you, something that's so enjoyable. You know, my dad was an amazing photographer. He was a photographer for Tourism Victoria. And every day of the week, he was out, you know, on missions, photographing what was happening at the time. And was so fortunate in that chapter of his life. He was also raising us kids and he photographed our whole childhood, analog, beautiful film photography of us.
Amazing.
So grateful for that. But he won't even pick up a camera anymore. He burnt out. He did it too much, and there was too much masculine. And yeah, I have always approached my work, always, you know, for many years now, identified as an artist, but seeing that I never actually wanted to be solo, just painting, because it put too much pressure on myself. And to have this like force of expectation to deliver behind paintings actually crushed the fragility, which is my creative essence. I need to feel nourished. And yeah, to make money outside of that is actually, some people might look at that and be like, oh, see, you can't be just an artist. It's like, okay, some people do it, a slither of the population, but is that really realistic? To be just like, yeah, factory creating art. It's just not a thing for
Yeah,
me.
it's not a thing.
Yeah. So I think that's a really important part, because a lot of artists reach out to me and say like, you know, how do you produce so much? It's like, actually, why is because I have such a dynamic workflow. I attempt to paint 1 day a week, which is something that me and my wealth witches have really gotten down to. I need to make time to paint every week because it's sacred to me. But tattoo ceremony happens a couple of times a week. And, you know, I also have to do all this other marketing stuff, and I have a team that I work with, and all these other things take time. But I wake up every day saying, cool, I'm doing something different than what I did yesterday.
Totally. And I think that's the coolest
every day of the
thing.
week and being like, yeah, fuck getting up every single day of the week and looking at your canvas and looking at your art studio like, all right, how are we going to keep the fire burning in here today?
So, trying to like reignite this like fucking dead art practice because you did it too much. Yeah. It's
don't burn out.
Don't burn out, totally, because it's so precious. It's so precious. Creativity and the act of creating, if you start it because you love it, it's so precious to keep it as that thing that you love and not do exactly what your dad did. And what a gift to witness that, actually, to witness your dad, you know, go through that process of like being so passionate about photography and now like having done it so much that he doesn't even want to do it anymore. And I think that's such a common, way more common experience than myself as a beginner artist thought. Like as a beginner artist, I was like, I must paint all the time in order to be considered a legitimate artist. It's just not the case at all. And I wouldn't want it to be that way, actually. I actually wouldn't want that. I like variety. I like slowness. I like to have my creativity like go gently and be my safe place, not be my bread and butter, not be my like, what the fuck is that noise? I think it's Alexa. Anyway, not be my bread and butter and not be my like the thing that I have to do. I want it to be the thing that I want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so funny because when I introduce myself and people ask me what I do, it's like the first thing that I say is I'm a fine artist. But like first and foremost, because I think when I look back on my life, I'd be like, yeah, that's what my soul really wanted to do. That's a big reason why my soul came to this earth this time around in this form at this time. And yeah, it's important to me. But realistically, that's so tender that the other things are what holds it all up so that I can do that when the time comes. My track record is I release a painting like once a year these days.
Totally.
Which isn't that, that's not impressive. I'm not trying to impress anyone anyway, but it's like that's how slow that comes through for me. And that's okay.
It's okay. Totally.
Yeah. I'm not a factory. I'm not an art factory.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think it's such a great thing. And I think it'll be really helpful for some people to hear that who are maybe like where we were a few years ago when we were like, I need to be constantly producing. Actually, no, you don't. Actually, it could be a disservice to your creativity to be consistently producing.
Yeah. It's got a lot to do with the way that the world's made up, the way that our systems force us to work so hard, work ourselves to the bone, that we don't epitomize rest. We don't epitomize downtime, spending time with our families, like things that really deeply nourish us. So I think it's important, and it's some sort of beautiful rebellion to just say, do you know what? I'm going to take my time with that. I'm going to do that in the way that I want to do that. Doing it for you as well. Yeah, that's where the juice is. Beautiful. There's 100%. So many things I want to talk to you about, Steph, but yeah, thank you for bringing me back into why I do what I do and how I do it, because I love going to work. It doesn't even feel right to use the word work, actually. Yeah, I'm so blessed by the support networks, and like I said, my parents come before me, allowing me to and encouraging me to always paint and follow my inspirations. Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on. My first guest.
What an honor.
Snap.
Can't wait to see all the epic people you're gonna interview and have great conversations with.
Me too. Honestly, I just can't wait to like just talk to artists and have like such juicy and winding conversations that go in like unexpected ways. I just can't wait. It just feels so exciting to me.
Yeah. And you might have said it before our call, but people approach art and the creative process and creative business in many different ways. I'm not going to be one to vouch for like, this is the way. I can teach and I can coach people into ways that I have seen to be successful and holistic and sustainable. But also, I'm really looking forward to you just interviewing so many different artists that say like, this is my way, or like, oh God, like that interview with Vondove, that's the opposite of how I create. And it's like, that's cool.
Great.
That's what's beautiful. Yeah, we're all just coming here and doing it our way. And there's much to be learnt.
100%.
So thanks for pulling the knowledge for us.
I'm so looking forward to it. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to put this out. And I hope a lot of people get a lot of good from it. And I hope it is the very I'm just going to plant a seed here. I hope this is the start of something really freaking awesome and really exciting and really helpful, and something that can grow in a really beautiful way and help a lot of people and reach a lot of people. It's my wish for this podcast.
Me too. Thank you again, Steph. It's been such a pleasure. Love chats with you.
Me too.
Thank you for being my ally in creative business over the years. And yeah, there's many more years to come.
Where can people find you?
I'm probably most active over on the gram. And yeah, if you go there, you can find me at Vondove, Vondove. And then from there, I have a website, and that's pretty much it.
Right.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, all the juice over there.
Amazing.
Beautiful. Thank you, Steffi.
Thank you.